Hi, everybody, and welcome to our class today. Today, our theme is around breaking things up a little bit, doing things a little bit differently, maybe doing familiar things a little bit differently, so we don't get kind of stuck in our rut, which I know it's easy to do when we kind of do the same thing all the time. Even in a yoga class, we often do the same moves in the same way. There's lots of different ways to do things, and maybe you've been to different yoga classes and seen things done a different way. And sometimes maybe you wonder, why do we do it this way and not that way? And the truth is, there's lots of different ways to do things, and there's lots of right ways to do things. So we're going to mix it up a little bit, do some things the way we normally do, familiar things like we'll start lying down, and then change some things up as we go along. So I'll meet you on the mat. You can start lying down. So as you come to your mat, find a comfortable position, generally lying down on your back if you're comfortable there, or however else works for you. Most people come into a yoga class and choose the same place in the class every time. And if this is your first online class, maybe mixing it up by being at home. Maybe you've got pets or family that make it a little more distracting for you. But as we shift our perspective inwards, try to bring your attention to what's happening right now within. Let your breath be easeful, natural. And notice the movement of your breath, where you feel the breath. Often we're breathing unconsciously without noticing. But as you bring your conscious attention to your breath, noticing the movement without trying to change it. And then let the breath get just a little bit deeper. I seem to have a demon cat today visiting. So if you're at home and you've got distractions as well, know that we can work through those distractions and try to find at least a little bit of calm and center in our lives. And if you're joining the class around the time that it's recorded, knowing that we've all self-isolated or needed to isolate because of the circumstances around us. So there may be within you today, or as you do this practice, some feelings of fear or anxiety. Or maybe for you, this is a happy thing, getting a little bit of time off. Or maybe it's a very stressful thing, not knowing what's next. So whatever emotions are present for you, allow them to be present, acknowledge whatever is going on for you right now. Well, let's take the breath a little bit deeper now. Drawing the breath in, letting it go. And then as you're ready, you can start to bring some movement. Maybe beginning by bringing your knees up into your chest and drawing the knees forward and back. If you want to coordinate your breath, inhale as you move the knees away and then exhale as you move your knees towards you. And noticing what changes in your lower back or anywhere else in your body as you do this movement. What are you aware of? What do you notice? And then let's try the same thing, but let's switch the breath a little bit. So now we'll exhale and draw the knees in like we normally do. Stay here and inhale. And then as you exhale, move the knees away. Stay there and inhale. And then exhale, draw your knees in. So we can do the same movement with a little bit of a different focus. Breathe in as you hold here. And breathe out as you move. Breathe in as you stay here. Breathe out as you move. And I encourage you to practice breathing through your nose, both during the class and really in general. Breathing through your nose is healthier, if possible. If your nose is plugged up for any reason, then you don't have a choice. But if you can breathe through your nose, the hairs in the nose filter any dust. And also the air is warmed before it goes into your lungs. So we have a little bit of a protection there from breathing through the nose. So you can bring your left foot to the floor and keep your right knee into your chest. And we'll move the leg toward the ceiling. You can straighten it till you feel a bit of stretch and then bend it in towards your body. Straightening and bending. Again, if you want to coordinate your breath, you can inhale as the leg straightens, exhale as the knee moves in. And then leaving the leg in the air, circle the ankle around. You can let the hands relax or continue to hold on if you like. And then press your heel up toward the ceiling and let your hip sink down toward the ground, feeling a bit of stretch through the back of the leg. And then relax your foot. You can give the leg a little shake, letting go. Right? And then bring that foot down, stretch the leg out and extend the arm overhead and reach out from your foot to your fingers, growing long here. Breathing in and then exhale to come back to your starting position, feet on the floor. Hands can rest on the ground or on your abdomen. Take a couple of breaths. Good. And then we'll bring the left knee in. Again, you can hold behind the leg or let go as you straighten and bend the leg a few times. It's inviting a little bit of movement into the back of the leg. And then you can stay there, gently circle your ankle around. And one way and then the other. And then gently press the heel up as you let the hip sink down. And relax the foot, give the leg a little shake, and then bring the knee back into the chest. And then stretching out that side, reaching the arm overhead, the leg to the floor. If it's more comfortable for your shoulder, arm to the side is great as well. And then again, returning to your starting position. We'll take the arms to the sides, and again, we'll vary the breath a little bit here. This is optional. If varying the breath ever creates strain for you, just breathe normally. As we come into a twist, we'll let both knees go to one side. You can turn the head the other way and exhale as you move, and then stay there and take a breath in. And then exhale, come back to center. Stay there and take a breath in. Exhaling, go to the other side. Stay there and breathe in. And then exhale back to center. Stay there and inhale. And continue like that, exhaling to the side, exhaling to the center, and inhaling when you're stationary in each position. So changing things up, doing things in a way that's a little different from how we normally do them can bring your attention back to what you're doing. So you're not just moving without being present, right? We can do that if we're used to doing something the same way all the time. We can do it and really be not at all present. As you come back to the center, let's again bring the knees up into the chest. And again, moving forward and back, this time coming back to our usual breath here. So when we switch things up, we don't want to switch everything up, which can get overwhelming. So exhale as you draw in, inhale as you move away, the normal breathing that we often do here, or just breathe freely if that's more comfortable for you, and that's always an option. From here, taking the right knee into your hands, you can bring the left foot to the floor and extend that leg out. If it's more comfortable to keep it bent, then that's also fine. So draw the knee in gently as you press out through the opposite heel. You want to feel this leg that's on the ground, your left leg active and engaged. And then start to move your right knee side to side. So you can keep both hands on the knee to limit the movement if that is best for you, or you could switch hands. So going to the right with the right hand, going to the left with the left hand, going side to side just like that. And if you want to add a bit of a deeper twist, feel free to come onto your left hip and roll towards the left side, and then back onto your back, knee to the right. And after a few times, if it feels good to you, you might choose to stay. And you can keep your foot on your leg or bring it to the floor, or you may even want to stretch that leg out. Just be aware of this opposite shoulder. So it might lift off the ground, which is fine as long as you're comfortable there. If you want a bit more stretch, turn the palm up and raise the arm towards the head. If you want less stretch, turn the palm down, move the hand towards your hip. You could even bend the elbow and let your hand rest on your hip. Another option, if you have handy a block or a cushion, you could rest that underneath your leg if it helps you to be able to relax here a bit more. You're welcome to come out of the pose anytime. When you are ready, you'll come onto your back, bend both knees, lift your hips and shift back to center. So you feel aligned before we move into the same movement on the other side. So left knee comes in, right leg extends out. And again, moving a little side to side, either with both hands on the knee or moving the knee from one hand to the other. And again, if you feel that it would be helpful for you to stay in the twist, that would feel good for you, you can roll onto your right side, bringing the knee across the body, maybe stretching the leg out or using a cushion or a block to support the leg. And again, checking in with the opposite shoulder. So raising the arm up if that feels like a good stretch to you, or bringing the arm down, turning the palm down, which will internally rotate the shoulder and take some of the stretch out, or hand on the hip, if that's a comfortable position for you. So a couple more breaths here. Of course, if you want to come out of the pose sooner, absolutely anytime, that is up to you. When you're ready, roll onto your back, bring your feet to the floor, bending both knees to shift your hips back to center. And again, we'll bring the knees to the chest. You can repeat the forward and back movement if you like, or add an extension of the limbs out to the sides or overhead with the arms, up with the legs, and then back to the chest. If you want to coordinate your breathing, inhale as you extend, exhale as you contract into the center. And then we'll bring the feet to the floor. Extend your arms up toward the ceiling now. The palms can face each other. You're going to reach up with your hands to lift the shoulders a little and then sink the shoulder blades down to the ground. So reach up and sink down. You can work with your breath here, breathing in as you reach up, exhaling as you drop down. Right, and then pausing here, shoulders relaxed, circle the wrists one way and then the other. Okay, give your arms and hands a shake. And then bring the arms down to your sides. So for the next one, we'll work with bridge. And again, we're going to mix it up a little bit, do it a little bit differently so that we stay kind of awake rather than just going through the motions, which is easy to do when you've done something so many times before. So first of all, we want to line the heels up under the knees, which is our general starting position, feet about hip distance apart. So for this bridge, we're going to lift in 2 breaths, lower in 1 breath, 1 exhale. So as we lift up, first taking the arms to the center position and just lifting the hips, or really just lifting the tailbone a tiny bit. So you're kind of scooping the tailbone up, pausing there. You can exhale here. And then as you take your next breath in, lifting the hips, you can bend the arms as you lift them overhead or have them straight as is good for you. And then you'll come all the way down as you exhale. So we're going up with a breath and a half really, and down with a half a breath with an exhale. So first breath in, we're lifting up. You can exhale here and then inhale, go the rest of the way. And then exhale all the way down. So the first breath in, we're just lifting the tail a little, lifting the arms, and then pausing there with an exhale. Lifting with an inhale. And going all the way down with an exhale. One more. And as you come down this time, stay down, bring your knees in one more time. You can rock side to side or circle your knees. Whatever else might feel good is also an option here. Then as you're ready, you can let your feet come to the floor. And I generally give the instruction to roll to one side to make it a little bit easier to come upright, so you can use your hand to support you against the ground. So just to switch things up a little bit, try rolling to the side that you don't usually roll to. So I usually roll to my left side. Today I'm going to roll to my right side. So you can use your opposite hand and coming upright. And then however you're comfortable to sit for a few minutes, we will be sitting. So if you like, you can sit on a chair, or you might have a cushion or a bolster handy, a blanket or a block. Or I know for some people just sitting right on the ground is comfortable, but I also know that for most that is not actually the case. So getting the hips up a little higher, whether that's on a chair, this is completely doable on a chair. So whatever works. So we can bring the hands onto the knees. And often we do this movement on all fours, but we'll try today seated, and it's often called the cat-cow movement. And it's an arching and a rounding of the spine. So the cow position is an arch where we arch the back a little bit, and the cat position is rounding. I was hoping my cat would do it here with me, but he's not too cooperative today. So inhale, finding a little arch. Exhale, rounding. And we can add in one more element here, which is where the eyes are. So as we arch, we can extend the pose by looking up between the eyebrows. Be careful not to let that make your head fall back. And as you round, you can extend the rounding by looking down towards your nose. So even if your eyes are closed, which is fine, you can still bring the eyes into that position even underneath your eyelids. So just adding a little extra element to break up doing things the way we always do them. And then let's come back to an upright or neutral position for the spine. So neutral doesn't mean straight spine. Our spines are generally not straight. They have 4 different curves to them. So when we're sitting with a neutral spine, it means that the natural curves are maintained, which means the lower back actually curves in a little bit, rather than if we're slumping, the lower back tends to curve out. And that's why getting the hips up can be helpful. It allows the spine to be more in its natural curves. So let's do a little bit of movement for the head and neck. So we'll turn the head to one side. And as you do that, continue that movement with your gaze. So continue to look around behind you with your eyes. And then come right around to the center, and same thing on the other side. So turning your head to the side and following that movement with your gaze. So looking as far behind you as you can. And then back to the center. Let's turn back to the first side, and we'll do a little half circle. We're rolling the chin across the front of the chest to come up to the other side, and then rolling back to the other side. So you can go side to side like that, or if you'd like, you can make a full circle. And as always, if you're circling in a full circle with your head, you want to be cautious not to let your head fall back behind your shoulders. So a good rule of thumb is to imagine that there's a circle or a clock in front of your face and you're taking your nose around that circle. All right, so if you've gone both directions, you can come back to the center. And we'll take the head to one side now. So letting the ear release down toward the shoulder. And if you want a little bit more stretch, take your hand to the ground, the hand that's away from the way that your head is tilted, and reach down and away as you lift the spine. You'd come to the center and opposite ear to shoulder. Again, if you want a little more stretch, fingers to the ground, pressing down as you lift the spine and let the head relax to the side. Good. And coming back to the center, and we'll do a few more rounds of cat-cow. So exhaling, rounding, inhaling, arching, and extending the movement with the gaze, with where your eyes are. Okay, let's come back to the center and we'll do one more movement here. So this time we'll take the hand to the ground. And if you are sitting up on a chair, you might just take your hand to the seat of your chair instead, which is totally fine. And we'll lift the other arm straight up with the palm facing away. So there's a little external rotation in the shoulder, and you want to relax the shoulder down and find length in the torso. So we're lifting up with a breath in, and then you can add a little side bend. So as you go to the side, bend the elbow of the arm that's on the ground so you're not hunching the shoulder up, and we'll move into out of that side bend a few times. So exhaling as you go to the side, inhaling as you come up. Notice if you're twisting forward as you go to the side, and think about keeping the shoulders one on top of the other, the torso moving straight to the side. And then stay for a few breaths, and as you're staying, be careful not to collapse the shorter side. So you want to think about lengthening both sides of the body. It's not about going as far as you can to the side. I could go a lot further to the side, but I would find that now I'm starting to strain. My right sit bone is lifting up off the cushion. So I'm going to come back to where I can lengthen and feel comfortable. All right, let's come out of this pose, come to the center, and pause for a moment and notice how the two sides of your torso feel and if there is any difference. I feel quite lopsided right now, so we're going to obviously do the other side. So you can bring the fingertips to the ground or to your chair. First, we'll work dynamically. So we're going to bring the arm up, and palm facing towards the opposite side, shoulder relaxed down. Even bend your arm if you feel like you're bringing tension into that shoulder. We'll lift with a breath in, come down to the side, bending the arm on the ground, maybe bringing the hand flat, coming up as you inhale. If you find it uncomfortable to have the arm in the air, you can always try it with the arm either on the shoulder or the hip. You could stay a few breaths, again, thinking about not going down as far as you possibly can, but maintaining length on both sides of the body and breathing into both sides of the body, particularly the side that you're lengthening. But as you're ready, come back up to the center. And again, we'll move into that cat-cow position to bring a little more evenness to the spine. Exhaling as you round. Inhaling as you lift. Great, and then coming back to a neutral spine, we're going to make our way to stand. So however you get there, it's fine. So if you have blocks, you can bring them to the front of your mat so that when we get to that point where you may need them, they'll be there. If you don't have blocks, I came up with another alternative to blocks, and that is toilet paper. So I know that everybody has tons and tons of toilet paper right now. So if you don't have blocks, you can always use a couple of rolls of toilet paper to help you out. But for now, taking the feet a little bit apart, and we'll roll the shoulders. One, and then the other. Let your whole body move. Go one way and then the other. Right, and then coming back to the center, let's bring the feet about hip distance apart. We'll take a breath in and lift the arms up. Good, exhale and come forward. Good, inhale, bring your hands to your shins, come about halfway up, lengthen the spine. Good, exhale, fold forward. And take a couple of breaths here. You can either let the arms hang down or maybe bring the hands to the elbows. Right, and then coming all the way up with a breath in. Palms can come together and back to the heart. And I'm just going to adjust my screen a little bit now that I'm standing so that I'm not getting so cut off at the top. So we're going to, as I mentioned, do things a little bit differently today from how we normally do. So I'm going to teach you a little transitional move that comes from a style of yoga called Ashtanga Yoga. And some of you maybe have done Ashtanga Yoga before or even have done it with me in the past. So in this style of yoga, the standing poses all start from the front of the mat with the palms together, the gaze down towards the hands. So we always come back to this sort of home base in between. And when we go into a pose that takes the legs wide, which we will be doing today, you're going to come from that position to a star position with the legs and the arms wide. After the pose, I'm going to come back to standing, palms together, feet side by side. In Ashtanga Yoga, it is a style of yoga that was developed for training young warriors, and usually the feet were together and there was arms down at the sides, but we're going to have the feet slightly apart, hip distance apart for a more relaxed stance, palms together. So here's the move. From here, you can bend the knees, open to the side, feet parallel, arms to the sides, and then back to the front of your mat. So again, to the side, and back to the front of your mat. So the first posture that we'll do is called Trikonasana, or triangle pose. So from here, you're going to, again, go to the side. Once you're there, actually generally we're always going to the right side. So if you're facing the other direction, you might want to go to the other end of your mat so that when you open, you're facing this, or facing your computer, facing this way. So now, if you end up going to the left, it is not going to make a big difference. You'll just reverse my instructions. So from here to the side, we'll take the right foot. So for me, it's the foot near the back of my mat, and I'm going to turn it all the way to point straight ahead toward the end of my mat. The other foot you can turn in a little or keep it straight, or some people even find it's comfortable slightly out. So you want to find the position for that back foot that feels comfortable for you. Press down into the ball of your right foot, or the foot that's pointed out to the side. Pull up on the thigh. So you want to feel that the leg is strong, contracted. Pulling up on the thigh helps to protect the knee from over extending. So the leg can be straight, but you don't want to lock the knee. If you feel like you're locking the knee or it feels challenging to have the leg straight, give it a little bend. So from here, we're going to reach straight down to the side. You can bring your hand onto the leg. If you want to bend your knee and rest there, that's fine. Or you can bring the hand to the inside of the leg, reaching the other arm up. Or if it's more comfortable for you, you can bring it behind your back with the palm facing away. Shoulders are stacked, one shoulder over the other. If it's comfortable for you, you could look towards your hand, but for many people that's hard on the neck. So looking forward or down is totally fine here. Good, coming up to the center. Switch the position of your feet. So now the left foot is pointing straight ahead, right foot out to the side. Find the angle that's comfortable for your right foot. Press down into the ball of your left foot, pull up on the knee and the thigh. Again, a little bend if necessary. We'll reach over to the side and come down into Trikonasana. Good, breathing here. Again, you could look towards your hand if that's comfortable for your neck, but absolutely not necessary here. You can place the hand on the lower leg, but try definitely not to press back and hyperextend the knee. So if you're pressing against the leg, bending the knee is the best option here. Okay, let's come back up to the center and we'll step back to the front of the mat. Now, I always like to add a counter pose to balance the spine between each poses, not part of the actual Ashtanga sequence. However, that's what we're going to do next. So we'll do a forward bend. So you can release the arms, take a breath in, reaching up with the arms, exhale, bend forward. Let your head release, inhale, hands to shins, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. And then inhale, lift all the way up. And let's do that again. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward again. Inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, and one more time. This time as you come upright, let's stay upright. And bring the palms back together. So we're going to move to the side again. And to warm up for the more challenging version of Parvriti Trikonasana, or the twisted triangle, we're going to do a simple and dynamic version to get ourselves ready for twisting. So in this case, we want to keep the feet parallel, a little wider than maybe but shoulder width. It could be even wider. So some instructions say if you place your ankles under your wrists with the arms wide, that is a good rule of thumb. I find that's a little too wide. So somewhere between shoulder distance and wrist distance, finding a place that's comfortable for you. You can keep the knees soft. Definitely don't want them locked. And what we'll do is we'll take one arm across to the opposite leg. It can land anywhere, the thigh, the shin, the ankle, the foot, even the floor. The other arm can reach up or come behind your back. You'll come up to the center and switch sides, exhaling into the twist, inhaling back to center. You're going at your own pace and going only as far as feels good to your body. Right, and then coming back to the center, we'll step back to the front of the mat. So for the next one, we're going to end up turning 180 degrees. So we'll start by going halfway to that side position. You can take your right hand to your hip and raise the left arm up. And then we're going to turn the whole body towards the back of the mat. So your right foot will point straight ahead, and you might want to turn your back foot a little bit so that it's comfortable, so the hips and shoulders can turn in that direction. So your right hand stays on your hip, left arm reaches up. If you've been going the other way, you're going to have the left hand on the hip and the right arm in the air. You can keep the front leg straight again, pressing into the ball of your foot, pulling up on the thigh, or a little bend is fine. And we're going to twist now. So turning towards the right side, you can bring your hand to the thigh, to the shin, maybe to the floor, or if you need a little bit of extra length, you might try your roll of toilet paper, either inside or outside your foot. So if it's on the baby toe side, it's going to be more challenging to cross the body. If it's on the big toe side, a little easier. The hand can stay on your hip or reach up toward the ceiling. When you come out of the pose, you're going to lower the back arm, lift the forward arm, and windmill back to the center. Left hand to your hip, right arm lifts up, turning towards the front of your mat again. Again, you might want to shift the position of your back foot a little, maybe move it a little towards the side so you feel well balanced here. Hips and shoulders pointing now towards the front of your mat. Right arm lifting, left arm on the hip to begin with. You're going to start to turn towards the left as you come down. You can take your hand to the leg or to your prop, whatever it is, and then turning to the side, maybe lifting up the arm, maybe keeping it on the hip or bringing it to the lower back. And when you lift up, lower arm or back arm lowers, front arm lifts, windmilling around to the side and back to the front of your mat. Good. Pause here. We're going to do a forward bend, but we're going to do it with wide legs this time. So again, taking a step out to the side, taking a breath in, reach up. Good. Exhale, come forward, bringing your hands down onto the ground, and then come to your fingertips, or you can bring your hands to your knees, come halfway up with a breath in. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, arms down. So this time as we come forward, I'll give you the option of resting your head either on your blocks, or the toilet paper is kind of funny, but it actually does work for this. You could bring your head onto the toilet paper. So I will show you. So we'll come up with the breath in, coming forward. So you can take your rolls. You may need to bring your feet a little further apart, and you may need more rolls to bring your head down. Certainly if you have blocks, 1 or 2 blocks, may be good for you. If you don't have anything, you don't need anything. So you can absolutely do this without resting your head. If you have something to rest your head on, then that is an option for you. So I'm going to use the block. So as you go forward, you can place, if you've got something there, again, it's not necessary. We'll bring the arms behind the back. You want to be gentle with your shoulders here, so you're not squeezing back, but letting the shoulders drop down as you lift the chest. And then coming forward, exhaling, bend your knees a little. If you've got something to place your head on and that feels good to you, you can let your head rest there. And then maybe lift the arms a little toward the ceiling. Try to keep the shoulders dropping down towards the ground so there's no tension there. When you lift up, we'll come up with a breath in, releasing the arms to the sides. and stepping back towards the front of your mat. Pause here. Big breath in and then exhale to release. So you can move, if you've got props on your mat, you can move them out of the way. Right, coming back to the front of your mat. Bend the knees, open to the sides. Bring your hands to your hips, and we'll do a few circles with the hips. And one way a few times, and then the other way a few times. Right, and then coming back to the center. We're going to bring the feet together, and we'll find our way back down onto the ground. And we're going to do a pose called legs in the air, or supported shoulder stand, if you have something to support your hips with. So this could be a block. I don't think the toilet paper is going to necessarily work for you here. It's a little bit too soft, but it could be a firm cushion like a bolster or meditation cushion that you use as well. If you don't have anything handy, that is totally fine. You can do this with your legs, with your hips on the ground rather than lifting them up. So make your way down onto your mat again. Now, for those of you who are more advanced in yoga and you've maybe been practicing a half shoulder stand, or even a full shoulder stand, you're welcome to go there if that feels right for you. I'm not going to give instructions for that particular part, but if that's part of your practice and you feel comfortable with it, you could lift into a half shoulder stand or full shoulder stand. And if you want to do a modified version, first off, you can just, as I said, keep your hips on the ground, and it's a matter of bringing the knees in, stretching the legs up, and finding a comfortable position here. If you want to add a little bit more to that, you can bring something firm, ideally underneath your hips. So it could be a block, or as I said, it could be a cushion. So for instance, I have this nice firm meditation cushion here. I could bring that underneath my hips. It could be a firm and folded blanket. So wherever you find yourself, you could bring your knees in toward your chest and then stretch the legs up toward the ceiling. So spend a couple of minutes here. And you can stay here stationary and just enjoy the feeling of the legs being in the air, which allows the blood flow that's normally being pumped from the heart to the feet and then has to be pumped back up to the heart. It's allowing that process of coming back to the heart to be fed with gravity. So the veins that often have a lot of pressure in them from the blood trying to flow back to the heart and getting a little bit sluggish along the way sometimes. Now we've got gravity helping us, so it relieves the pressure on the veins. It's great if you suffer with varicose veins. It relieves the pressure. It's great if your legs are tired, if you've been sitting or standing or walking a lot. So you can stay here stationary, or to add a little bit of pumping action, you can flex and point the feet to get the muscles of the lower legs moving, to sort of like your feet act like a heart to pump the blood. Right. Another option here that you could work with dynamically is to bring the soles of the feet together, let the heels come down, knees come apart, and then stretch back up. So now you're working the whole legs. Your hands could support your legs if you like, or Just rest on the ground. Another option would be to stay with the knees apart, soles of the feet towards each other. Again, you could use your hands to support your legs if you find that helpful. You can either keep your feet together here, or for a little more stretch, legs could come apart. Again, supporting the legs is helpful. As you're ready to come out of the pose, you'll bring the legs back together, bend the knees, and one by one, it's a little easier, bring the feet to the floor. And then you'll lift up to slide out any props that you may have brought underneath you and lower down. If you're already on the ground, obviously you're skipping that step. And then knees to chest, moving forward and back as we've done several times in the class. Let's come back to that varied breathing. So exhale, draw in, stay there and inhale. Exhale, move away, stay there and inhale. And continue. And as you bring the knees in this time, vary the movement, circle or rock, move side to side, whatever feels good. So we're ready to wind down and spend a few minutes in Shavasana. So as you're ready, you can find your way to a comfortable position. So lying down, cover up if you need to, add extra clothing so that you're warm enough to be relaxed. Of course, if you're lucky enough to be somewhere warm right now, or that might be unlucky as well, given everything that's going on in the world, but wherever you are, find as much ease and comfort as you can. And then drop down into the earth with your breath, with your exhale. Feel a sense of letting go, releasing, dropping down. Allow your jaw to release and the muscles of your face to relax. Your shoulders sink down, your arms release. Feel your hands soft. Know that there's nothing else that you need to be doing right now, even if your mind is telling you otherwise. Taking this time for you, and anything else that may be competing for your attention can wait. Dropping down through the rib cage, the belly, the lower back. Softening and relaxing the muscles around the hips, the buttocks, the lower abdomen. Feel your thighs let go. Release, relax. Softening down through the calves, the ankles, and the feet. Let your legs go completely. The breath be as easeful and unencumbered as possible. And if you wish to stay longer in Shavasana, please know that you can stay here as long as you like, as long as it's convenient for you. You can just ignore my instructions or turn off the video. And if you're ready to move on with your day, and take your time to stretch and move a little. Eventually coming onto your side. And then gradually returning to a seated position. And as you go through your day, this may be a time where lots of things are changing and we're being called to do things differently than we've done them in the past. And know that this can be challenging, but it's also a wonderful opportunity for growth and to see things in new ways. Namaste. Have a wonderful day.